Hi everyone, I'm Rincey and this is Rincey Reads. So last week I talked about how I was very close to hitting the 25,000 subscriber mark and I wanted to do like a Q&A to kind of celebrate / commemorate that event. So I did pass that mark, so thank you so much to everyone who has subscribed to my channel over the years, whether you just subscribed or you've been subscribed for a really long time. I extremely cannot express my gratitude about all of that. It's wild. It's wild. So anyways, yes, I asked for questions for a Q&A, and so I'm just gonna run through them. I've looked at them really briefly, but I didn't really prep, so we'll see how this goes. So there were a few people who asked me about how I got started doing booktube videos, and then there was one question that specifically asked about me being a journalism major and how / if that led to me starting a booktube channel. So all of that is kind of related to each other, so I thought I would talk about that first. So basically I was, again, a journalism major in college, and while I was in college I worked on my student newspaper, and my senior year of college, my really good friend who also worked on the paper basically called me the summer before our senior year and was like, hey, we should do YouTube or something like that. He was very ahead of his time. This was in 2008, 2009. It was funny because I had no interest in doing that whatsoever. In fact, if you asked me in college, I would say I never wanted to be in front of the camera. And I still kind of feel that way. Doing this doesn't quite feel like in front of the camera. But anyways, yeah, so that was sort of my first exposure to being on YouTube. And then I graduated in 2009. And after I graduated, I came home. I graduated at, peak recession. So I was doing a bunch of jobs that weren't really that fulfilling. And being home from college, I really missed talking to people about things like books. When you're in college, at least for me, working on the paper and stuff like that, there are a lot of people that you're around who are very like-minded or have similar interests. And so I miss that coming home, and I love my friends dearly, but none of them, read to the capacity that I do or love books to the capacity that I do. A lot of them really enjoy books, and it's great. And I feel like since starting my booktube channel, a lot of more of them have come to love books. But back then, I just desperately was seeking other people to talk about books like this with. And it wasn't necessarily just books, but it was just sort of having people to talk about those common interests with. Back in the day, I used to watch a lot of YouTube, or not a lot, but I would watch YouTubers, but they were all vloggers. And then eventually I came across Sana from Books and Quills, and I saw her videos. And then after that, I think I saw the Readables, and I was like, oh, people talk about books on here too. They don't just talk about themselves or talk about their lives, which I had no interest in doing. And so I was like, I can talk about books. And so I remember very distinctly coming across it one day and within a week starting my channel, and this was back in 2012. So yeah, I did it pretty quickly and I've really enjoyed it ever since. Okay, Laura asked me what are some of my favorite books in translation. I really like Yuri Herrera. He is a Mexican writer. I believe I have some individual book reviews of his books on my channel, so I will link to that up in the cards in case you haven't checked it out. But Signs Perceiving the End of the World is a fantastic book and I highly recommend it. I really loved Kiko Higashino. I've only read 2 of his books so far, but Devotion of Suspect X is so good. It was one of my favorite books, not of last year, but I think of 2 years ago. Maybe, I don't remember exactly when, but I will link to that as well. Allison Rose says, tell us something fun or interesting about younger Rincey that no one outside your family would know. And I'm really bad at things like this because I feel like there are people in my life who know a pretty decent amount about me. But in terms of general things, my fun fact, the story I like to tell people is that I was potentially almost kidnapped or robbed from when I was a child. The short version of the story is that my aunt took me, my sisters, and my one cousin to the Field Museum. I was maybe in kindergarten, probably even younger than that. I would say I was 3. I have a very vague memory of this. And we were at the Field Museum. I remember I was looking at the African masks and everyone in my family walked away and I didn't realize it yet. And the next thing I know, a guy is pulling on my ear. And then my aunt realized I wasn't with them and came back, found me, saw this guy, basically freaked out on him, grabbed me, and we left the museum. That was it. That was we ended our day apparently then. I don't remember that part, but my aunt said that to me. So yes, we don't really know what was happening in that situation. Was he trying to steal me, or I had gold earrings, actual gold, Indian earrings in my ears, and so I was always like of the assumption that since he didn't try to like grab my arm or anything like that, I think he was just trying to steal my earrings. But yeah, that's like a thing that I'm very happy didn't go much farther. All right, Erin had a few questions for me. Her first one I don't really have an answer for. It's where do you see yourself in 5 years? And I'm not the type of person who thinks about that. I can barely tell you where I'm going to be in like 5 months. Like I feel like when I was younger, I was a little bit more of a planner. But I feel like the older that I've gotten, the less of a planner I've gotten in terms of like long-term planning, because you just literally have no idea what's going to happen in the world or in your life over the course of like a year. Like even where I am now compared to where I was last year, I wouldn't have seen, a lot of the things that happened to me in the past year happen in the world in the past year to be possible or to, have happened or anything along those lines, both good and bad. So yeah, I don't do that anymore. In 5 years, if I'm lucky enough to still be living, I just hope that I am, stronger and better and still surrounded by people who love me and that I love them. Another question is top 3 Chicago area bookstores. And I have a really hard time with this because we have so many great bookstores in Chicago. But if I have to pick, I would say like Unabridged Bookstore, The Dial, maybe, just because I like the building that it's located in. I mean, it's a used bookstore, so like, but they do a pretty good job of curating it. It's located downtown, so that's like a really nice one to recommend to people who are visiting. And maybe Women and Children First. Like that's probably one I go to a lot. Yeah, let's go with those 3. And then her last question is, have you taken the Enneagram quiz? And if so, what's your number? And I am a type 5. 5 wing 4 if we want to be specific. Okay, Peggy Coffee had a question about how do you organize your time to read as much as you do? I mean, I feel like I have a lot of free time in my life. Like I'm not married, I don't have kids. My main priorities are just like taking care of myself. Like I live with my mom and my sister and my niece, but so like there's multiple people here to take on, housework and cooking and things along those lines. Like I go to work and then I come home. What else do I have to do? Like, I'm involved in my church, but like, really, I probably am at a point in my life where I have a significantly more free time than I probably ever will again. So yeah, I feel like there's no excuse for me not to read a lot. But like more practically, like I really do read during my lunch breaks, like 95% of the time. So that's like a good 45 minutes to an hour of reading I get in. I usually read it right before bed too. I have an alarm on my phone that tells me to like basically stop using devices and to go read for a little bit before bed. But also like I don't watch that much TV anymore. Like I still do watch some TV, but I usually watch like an hour of TV a day. But like legitimately, I feel like I just spend a lot of time reading. I'm very good at to-do lists and schedules and planners and stuff like that. So I feel like I'm very good at like making my list of all the things I need to do in a day or a week, and then like I do those things, and then when I'm done it's like 8:30, maybe 9 o'clock, and I can still read for another half an hour to an hour before I pass out for the day. So all of that adds up. But yeah, I feel like if you're someone who has like a partner and or kids and like responsibilities and stuff like that, you should, kind of cut yourself a break and, read when you can, but don't like beat yourself up because you're not hitting like a certain number of books or something like that. If you read like, 30 minutes a day or, a couple of hours every week, you'll get through a decent amount of books. Bex from Get Bookish, highly recommend their channel, by the way. They're great. What's a bookish location you would really like to visit? And that is Powell's. Powell's is like one of those places where even I'm still surprised that I haven't been there yet, but I just never been to Portland. So Powell's bookstore is very high on the list. In the last video, I talked about how like I don't really do well with Man Booker prize books. So Lydia Holmes asked, are there any book prizes that you do like or that you do look forward to every year? So I love the Pulitzer Prize specifically for their nonfiction picks. I don't really care about their fiction picks usually, but their nonfiction picks are usually on point. So every year I look forward to those. I also look forward to their general like journalism prizes as well. But again, journalism major here. But I just feel like when it comes to nonfiction, they are exactly what I love in books. Like all of their nonfiction, their history, and their biographies, all of those, they pick really well in my opinion. In terms of fiction book prizes, not really. I do pay attention to the National Book Award, but I don't like necessarily pay attention to who the winners are unless there's like an author that I'm rooting for or something like that I just like enjoy in general. But I do find that the National Book Awards long lists are really interesting to check out, and they usually have some really interesting picks in terms of like what I'm already interested in and what I haven't heard of before and stuff like that. So I usually like to at least look at their long list to see like what they have there, just to see if there's something that might pique my interest that I didn't really pay attention to before. 6 Minutes for Me asks, what are your favorite Aussie reads? Jane Harper, easily. I don't think anyone is surprised by that by any stretch of the imagination, but Jane Harper. Jorge Medina asks, have you read any Junot Diaz? Yeah, I read The Brief and Wondrous Life of Oscar Wilde a really long time ago, and I thought it was okay. Like, it didn't really vibe with me very much. The way that book talks about women really rubbed me the wrong way, so not really for me. And now, after, like, you know, people have accused Junot Diaz of not being such a great person, I'm okay with not paying as close attention to him anymore. And then finally, Addie Dayhart asks, what are your top 3 recommendations for family-friendly things to do in Chicago / the Chicagoland area? So it really depends on like what age group your kids are in and what they're into. I really love our museums, and I'm also a big nerd, but like if you're into museums, I think our museums are great. Specifically, I think the aquarium is probably like the most friendly and accessible for everyone, but I like just went to the Field Museum a little bit ago and really enjoyed that experience. Museum of Science and Industry, I think, is good, not great, depending on what exhibits they have. And like the Adler is great because they have the dome, so you can do like the whole big star thing and whatever. But yeah, our museums are great. We also have like multiple children's museums, so there's also that as an option. Assuming that you're coming when it's nice out, because why would you be in Chicago if it's not like the summer? The parks are really great, like Millennium Park, Maggie Daley Park has a really great like kid-friendly area. The zoos are fantastic. We have 2. Lincoln Park is free. Brookfield has a fee, but it's like bigger. And yeah, we just always have like stuff going on, like plays and festivals and all free concerts and movies in the park and all that sort of stuff. So any of that. But museums are usually top of the priority list for me personally. So those are all of the questions that I have. Thanks so much to everyone who asked me a question. And again, thanks so much to everyone just in general for subscribing and supporting and watching and all of that good stuff over the years. Very, very, very much appreciated. So yeah, if you ever have any questions in general, you're allowed to leave them down in the comment section in case that wasn't clear. You don't have to wait for a Q&A. So yeah, let me know how you guys are doing, what you plan on reading this weekend. So yeah, that's all I have for now, and thanks for watching.